So we have covered the most important concepts of the Saussure's linguistic theory. These topics are very important because the things that we are going to study in future are all based on this. Either disagreeing with Saussure or agreeing with Saussure or making a few modifications. And post-structuralism is also based on this. So if you don't understand structuralism, it will be difficult for you to understand post-structuralism. A French structuralist. It is Lévi-Strauss actually who made structuralism world famous. He is a French theoretician, structuralist, and many of the theoreticians that we have to study from here come from France, right? France is a vibrant country with a lot of intellectuals, lot of movements. Now, Lévi-Strauss was an eminent cultural anthropologist. He was actually not a linguist but an anthropologist. He was born in 1908 and he lived such a long life. He died just a month before his 101st birthday. Of course, he was interested in becoming a lawyer, but unfortunately became an anthropologist. For 5 years he studied law. All those years wasted. 2 years later he became a professor of sociology in Brazil. So this is what changed his life. He was a French professor of anthropology, but he taught in a Brazilian university, and there he launched a project. He lived with the aborigines, the savages of Brazil. He wanted to study their culture. It is after studying the culture, especially the social culture, the myths and the customs existing among the savages or the native people, we can call them native people, that he came up with his theory of structuralism. He was actually applying Saussure's theory of structuralism to anthropology, right? Saussure first came up with his theory of structuralism in linguistics, language, but Lévi-Strauss applied this theory to anthropology, to mythology, to customs and habits of these people. But it was Lévi-Strauss who made structuralism very popular in the 50s and the 60s. You can see a picture of Lévi-Strauss there delivering a lecture. And Lévi-Strauss is also important for us when we study post-structuralism, because to honor Lévi-Strauss, a meeting of all the important intellectuals were held in Johns Hopkins University in America. It was a meeting which was supposed to honor Lévi-Strauss for his achievements in structuralism, that our Jacques Derrida, he dropped the atom bomb. Jacques Derrida is called the intellectual terrorist who destroys everything. He destroyed Claude Lévi-Strauss' theory. He challenged some of Claude Lévi-Strauss' concepts and thereby inaugurated the era of post-structuralism. So for us, Lévi-Strauss is important in these two ways. Now what did Lévi-Strauss find out? We are not going very deep into Lévi-Strauss theory, because Lévi-Strauss theory is about anthropology and we are studying literature and language. And according to your syllabus, we have to study only one concept, and that concept is myth-theme. So we will study only that concept We will not go into other concepts, the kinship, marriage, etc., and the analysis of the Oedipus myth, etc. We don't have time. I have given you all the material. If you are interested, you can go through it. There's a lot of material that I have shared with you. Okay, let us try to understand what a myth theme is. You know, in English language, for example, we have a phoneme, morpheme, etc. Levi-Strauss coined a term similar to these terms in language for anthropology in his study of myths, and that term is a new term, mythi, neologism, as it is known. So it is a neologism, coinage of new term. And when we study post-structuralism and structuralism, we will find that people are coining new terms. There are so many new terms coined because they found the existing terms insufficient to convey their message. That is how very innovative thinkers find language. So what is a phoneme? Let us try to understand first of all that. What is a phoneme? We have studied phonetics. A is a phoneme. P is a phoneme. B is a phoneme. So these are phonemes. So a phoneme means the smallest unit of sound in a language. Right? Mind that. Not any sound is a phoneme. The smallest unit of sound, you cannot further divide it. So what do you understand from this? If a word ends in A, you can guess it is a unit or a smallest unit. So what will be a myth theme? Make a guess. If a phoneme is smallest unit of a language, speech, sound, what will be a myth theme? Myth, you know. What will be a myth theme? Smallest unit of a myth. How can there be units in myth? Smallest unit of myth, that is myth theme. A myth theme is the smallest unit of a myth. What does it mean? Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 signs, right? Let us draw a few blocks. So this is the order. Now if we change the order, that is syntagmatically, horizontally, let us put, is it okay? According to the Lang of English, makes sense, right? So what are you doing? You are taking a few units, that is a few signs, you are putting it in different orders, creating new sentences, right? Of course, the orders must be according to the Lang of language. You cannot put them in any order, call it a sentence, right? You have the freedom to change the order, but you must obey the rule of the language. Okay? Now let us apply this to a myth. According to Levi-Strauss, a myth is like a sentence, right? A myth contains so many myth themes, that is units. So this is a myth theme number 1, 2, 3, 4. So just as a language contains signs or words, a myth contains units, right? And each unit is called a myth. So Levi-Strauss says the myths are actually like a sentence. We are rearranging these myth themes in different orders, provided they obey the lang of myth. Right? So just as each language has rules of combination, a myth has its rules of combination. That is called the lang of a myth. Right? So the lang, which at first we understood as the rules of combination of a language, can be applied to other sign systems. Then they will mean the rules of combination of the units of those sign systems. Right? So according to Levi-Strauss, a myth can be divided into its units, just like a sentence can be divided into words or signs. So a myth can be divided into small units, and we called each unit myth theme. Understood? And you can produce many myths by rearranging these myth themes, not as you wish, but obeying the rules of what? The lang of language, myths. Right? So myths have their own rules of combination, just as a language has its own rules of combination. So if you obey the rules of combination, then you can rearrange these myths and create so many myths. And when you create such a myth, a new myth, what is this? Is it lang or parole? We have created a sentence using the lang, so it is parole. So when you arrange the myth themes according to the lang of mythology and thus create a myth, that will be a lang of myth or a parole of myth. Parole of myth. Now you have understood the concept. So in a science system, in any science system, there will be a rule of combination. There will be rules. And these rules are known as lang. And using those rules, you combine these units and create paroles, right? And using this technique, Levi-Strauss has analyzed the myth of Oedipus. And I have shared that text with you. There you can see the paradigmatic and syntagmatic arrangement of myth themes. You may not understand what they mean, but just understand that they are just like the two axes of language. And he has arranged them according to certain categories. For example, overrating of blood relations. Blood relations are overrated, and then underrating of blood relations. Just giving you an example, we will not go too much deep into that. For example, in overrating of blood relations, we have in that myth people seeking blood relations. For example, Cadmus seeking his sister Europa. Then Oedipus marrying his mother, Jocasta. And in underrating of blood relations, we have people killing each other, that is blood relations. The brothers killing each other, Spartoi kill one another, Oedipus killing his father, etc. Eteocles killing his brother, Polynices. Then there is a category of slaying monsters, Cadmus killing dragon, Oedipus killing sphinx. Then difficulty of our handicap suffered by characters, that is given as the next category. So what this means is, these vertical categories can be substituted, just as we substituted he for she. Vertical categories can be substituted, and these horizontal categories can be rearranged according to the Lang of mythology. Next we come to another intellectual giant of France, Roland Barthes, pronounced as only Roland Barthes, ES is silent. We have a text by Roland Barthes for detailed study, structuralist activity, that we will study in the next class. Right? In this class I will give you an introduction to Roland Barthes. Now among all these intellectuals that we just studied, Ferdinand de Saussure, Claude Lévi-Strauss, Roland Barthes is unique because Roland Barthes is both a structuralist and a post-structuralist. Ferdinand de Saussure is a structuralist, Lévi-Strauss is a structuralist, but Roland Barthes is structuralist as well as a post-structuralist. How can that happen? Because as I told you, structuralism was very predominant in the 50s and 60s, right? Towards the end of the 60s, post-structuralism started, and then we have post-structuralism. And Roland Barthes, during the early career, intellectual career, was a structuralist, but during his later career, he was a post-structuralist. That is how we have Roland Barthes as both a structuralist and a post-structuralist.